If y'all don't ask me that, you're going to find something else to ask me.
So today you're going to hear what Lincoln Riley had to say during the start of the bye week for Oklahoma, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. I traveled to Norman to find out what Lincoln Riley was thinking about, what his defensive coordinator was thinking about as they prepared for the bye week ahead of conference play. They'll get Texas Tech at 11 a.m. in Norman next Saturday. Lincoln Riley is not at all satisfied with his 48-14 beatdown of UCLA. There were plenty of things that he wants to see fixed. Alex Grinch said the same thing. I'm going to do more with Alex Grinch in a little bit, but right now I want you to have an opportunity to hear what Lincoln Riley said at length, uncut. Here it is now.
He's also averaging 14.4 yards a play. He's off to a pretty good start for you, isn't he? I mean, statistically, it just looks like he's off the charts.
Yeah, he's kind of like I said now. He's doing well. 3 games into it, making some good decisions, making some explosive plays. He just still a long ways to go. A lot to grow on. He sees that. I see that. We all see that. And production's there, but again, the competition changes. The things evolve. Things don't stay the same in this game, and you either get better or people beat you on the two. And so he's got to keep getting better, as do we.
Is it fundamentals? Is it technique?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, it's just a growth process. I mean, he's seeing this offense into different looks. Seeing how we game plan each week, getting a feel for the game, our receivers, our O-line, getting in sync with everybody, decision making, play calls, why we call things, why we don't. So he's just it's new and it's not. And but he's handling it well. There's a lot of progress that's got to be made just across the board.
You got Lee Morris back involved on Saturday. Grant Capritere had some catches. As an offense, are you constantly looking at who needs to be more involved? Is it because the defense is taking this away? I mean, how do you only got one ball to go around? How do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, sometimes it's just how many snaps you get, and we've had some explosive plays, so it's limited the snaps a little bit, and kind of like last year, in a way, in that sense. Probably the only time you'll hear me compare a year to another year, but so at least it's kind of been that way at this point. So not really. I mean, if we've got an outstanding player that's maybe not gotten enough, then we may try to force feed them some. But more often than not, we just we call the plays that we like, and sometimes the guy that you think might catch it catches it, and then we had a couple the other night that were not at all who we expected to catch it that caught it, and that's just the way it goes. And so the key is having depth where it stays competitive and multiple guys can make plays, and we're developing that.
Mayfield was great at keeping his eyes downfield, subtle movements to extend plays, and it looked like Hurts did exactly that on the one throw to Rambo. Did he get here with a more sophisticated passing game than you expected, or is it a work in progress right now even?
Well, he understands football.
I guess what I'm saying, like, some guys get back there, get pressure, they freak out. Yeah. And some guys keep their eyes in place and do what they got to do to keep the play going.
Yeah, I think there's some sense of just calmness under fire and courage a little bit there. And then I think also you get down in those moments to how much do you really trust what you're doing, when that pocket starts to close down, or you feel a little bit of pressure. Do you trust your receivers to be open in the spot and trust that this guy's going to be there when he's supposed to, or do you not and get out early? And so I think there's something mental to it, but also just a trust factor. And Jalen's growing. He's had a good feel for when to leave, and the majority of times he's left, it's turned into explosive plays. And then he's also had several like the one you mentioned where he hung in there and delivered great throws. So trust level's getting higher, and I think the more he does that, the more comfortable he'll be sitting there.
Lincoln, given the risk of quarterback running that comes with it, is it ideal for your quarterback to be your leading rusher in this offense, or does that matter?
I think we just see how it plays out. It's such a small sample size right now, and he's had, just several just straight up scrambles, you know, that weren't quarterback runs that have gone on the first play of the game and that goes 50-something yards. And so, I mean, that's part of it. And then the other part is we've been able to play a bunch of backs. You know, those guys have not had to carry the ball 25 times a piece, and not yet. And so those guys are all rushing the ball pretty well. But no, I mean, you don't want a quarterback to be your guy at the end of the season. I doubt he will be for us. You know, we've got some pretty good backs, and we're going to need those as we get into Big 12 and the later part of the season.
Because of the way that's played out, do you feel like your backs are maybe fresher than they have been early in the season?
They are fresh. I don't know it's been as much of Jalen's running, but just we've had, you know, 3 guys here so far that you know, that have been able to carry it well, and they know our offense, and we're able to use those guys interchangeably. And you know, that's not going to happen. I mean, we're going to have games where all those guys have a lot more than 7 or 8 carries they've been getting. That's, you know, that's coming. And so, but no doubt, it certainly helps us. You know, that was a position last year that at times we were hanging by a thread. I mean, there was times we're sitting there like, man, one more guy gets hurt, we're gonna have to play an empty the whole game. You know, and I mean, some real conversations about that. I mean, I remember the Kansas game. Trey's out, and all of a sudden Kennedy's nicked up. Like, we don't got anybody left. And so recruited hard and developed hard, and it's good to have some bodies in there now.
Lincoln, it seems like you guys kind of know your order there, running back. But after watching all 3 of them, how close are those 3 when you add Ramondre into the mix?
Yeah, well, we don't really know an order, have an order. I mean, that's kind of how the carries have been divvied up. So, you know, I still think that, you know, that Sermon and Brooks are probably still 1A and 1B, but Ramondre's certainly gotten better, and we'll get TJ Pledger back here pretty soon, and he'll be, you know, he was playing extremely well before he was injured, and so I feel like we're going to have 4 pretty good players in that room. So, yeah, no, there's advantages to all of them right now. There's kind of an excitement when you get any of those 3 guys an opportunity.
You watched the film. How did the defensive line play?
Active, more violent. Thought we finished more plays in the backfield. I thought we were pretty gap sound from a defensive lineman standpoint. A couple of times, linebackers got out of gaps a couple of times on a couple of the big runs, but we played pretty stout up front. I mean, really, it was a strong game for our linebackers, especially, you know, some of the other guys not named Kenneth Murray. You know, it was Deshaun White. You know, Ryan Jones did some really good things. Asamoah did some good things. Brian Meade did some good things. And so it was good to see those guys play well. And I mean, certainly when your front's playing like that, it makes your job as a linebacker much easier.
Was there something that you saw out of Sutherland after that first game with the misses that kind of made you want to get him back out there? Yeah. Just the way you react?
It's, you know, field goals, drop passes, like that whole world to me is there's drops and then there's bad drops, you know, and there's misses and there's bad misses. And the way he hit the ball in the extra points, the way he hit the ball on the first long field goal, which I told you guys how, you know, stupid that was on my part, but I knew he was hitting it well. He had one bad kick, and watching the way he's hit it in practice, his body language just had every bit of confidence. You know, Gabe's a heck of a second option there right now, no doubt about it. We have a lot of confidence if his opportunity comes up, but we never thought twice about changing Callum. He's performed well, and it was great to see him just nail those 2 the other night.
Coach, you were really excited about the H-backs going into the season. How would you assess Jeremiah and Braden's performance so far?
Yeah, competitive. You know, they've been able to play a decent amount of snaps. They're both, you know, it's been a valuable first part of the season for them. I think they've learned a lot about how you got to play the position and all the things we asked that position to do. They've both made some explosive plays, and they've both left a couple plays out there, both in the receiving and blocking game that we need to get better at. But there's depth, there's competition. You know, we're able to kind of rotate those guys and keep them fresh, whereas in the past it was all Flowers or all Carson Meyer, and so it's a little bit better setup right now. So those are 2 guys you look at and say they need to take some major steps here throughout the year and become the players that we all think they can. But there's been some positive signs, but also need for competition and growth right now.
Did you see continued improvement on the offensive line as well?
Yeah, we were better. You know, we produced. We can play better. We're still you can still tell at times that we're still young and figuring each other out, figuring the game out. At times we look like a really damn good offensive line. At times we don't still, and but certainly improvement. Guys playing steadier, less mistakes. A couple times on a few of the penalties that we put them in some tough positions, and so I think they're taking steps. Kind of like the H-backs, kind of like everybody else. There's positive signs, but there's a lot of growth that's going to have to happen there, and we would expect nothing less.
Nick, how do you use the off week, or how are you approaching the off week this week? Is there a formula or a thought process to it every time you go into it?
Yeah, I mean, we've got kind of some base core values of, we never refer to it as an off week first, because that's a misnomer. It's just a week. It's just a week where we don't have a game. There's a lot of work to be done, and I think there's a kind of initial plan of how we'd like to practice, and obviously we'll involve some recruiting here at the end of the week. But and then I think each team's different. This one's unique for us in that it comes so early in the year. So you're not quite as beat up. We've played a lot of players on all three sides of the ball in these first few games and been able to spread reps out. So we're not as beat up as I can remember in some. So I think it gives us an opportunity to be pretty aggressive with the week. And it's not going to be about freshening them up. It's going to be about, again, what I've been telling you, it's not lip service. Like, we got to get better, and we need to get better now. And this week, that's goal number one.
Is it a week that a guy like maybe a Barnes or somebody, or guys that haven't played very much, is it a week that maybe they get a look, or
Yeah, I mean, all those guys have been getting looks in practice. We get enough reps in practice that even if a guy's not playing a ton of snaps in the game right now, he's getting an opportunity to show that he should be in there. And that's our deal. We're not just going to play guys to play them. Anybody, they've got to produce and give us a reason to put them in the game.
Through 3 games, we've seen kind of what Alex has done, substituting and generating competition and things on defense. Have you been pretty happy with you see guys like Jaden Davis starting to come up and Nick Benito, and is that do you see that kind of coming to fruition in front of your eyes?
That's all part of starting to establish the culture that we want defensively. It's part of the plan all along is to play a lot of guys and to create competition and create depth and create development of your other players. And again, we're not going to, back to the other point, we're not going to play a guy just for those reasons. I mean, they have to show us why, but we're not going to get married to playing a guy 90 snaps in a game. I mean, it's just, it's hurt us in the past. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And so, we're developing it better. And with that, you got to continue to recruit better and have more players that you want to put in the game. And so it all goes hand in hand, but it's been healthy on that side. I mean, guys know they're going to get an opportunity, even if you're playing behind, a Kenneth Murray right now. I mean, you're going to get an opportunity. And so if you think you should be out there, go out there and prove it.
I know you don't care probably, but we're at the game and we're getting feedback from fans. It freaks them out when Kenneth Murray leaves the game early. I mean, is that been an adjustment for you? I mean, there's a trust level there that you have to have too, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, but guys don't make plays till you give them a chance. And if they're showing us, trust me, we're not putting them out there if they're not showing us something behind the scenes that says they're ready.
Lincoln, better defense is its own reward, and a better defensive culture is its own reward, but it also means it's not hanging over the program. You don't get killed with questions about it from us, in a setting like this. Is that its own dividend to not, weekly have to face that, or maybe as an offensive coach think, I've got to overcome this difficult unit for us?
Well, if y'all don't ask me that, you're going to find something else to ask me. So, I don't look at it like that. I mean, I just, that's my job to answer for, anything in this program. And so, no, I don't feel bad. I mean, I'm really excited about where we're headed and the job that Coach Grinch and our staff and our players have done. But I don't, relief, none of that. No, just because I don't know. I don't feel that. I really don't. And again, we're 3 games in. We got to keep it going. I'm excited about the direction. I think we've got a lot of great people in place, and I'm confident about where we're headed, but not really a sense of relief, no.
Also, just defense aside, I don't think you've been surprised in a negative way by anything from your team. You say you need to get better. I get that, but nothing's on fire. Everything's pretty good. Does that make practice easier, meeting rooms easier, the temperature of the program better place?
Oh, there's a lot of things on fire. You guys just don't always see it.
Are there really?
Oh yeah. There's trust me. The day we stop putting out fires is the day we're holding up some trophies. So yeah, there's always fires.
You said that you expected the TJ back sooner. Is that sense of how soon that would be?
Yeah. It's a little open-ended right now, kind of a week-to-week deal. Excited to see kind of how he progresses through the bye week. You know, I would say Texas Tech's maybe a long shot, but I think we're getting pretty close with him.
It was a huge week for the Big 12 last week. I talked to Gary Patterson today. He said there's a perception or whatever that the Big 12 is not any good. And he said, you know, you guys write this. He's talking about the media. Do you feel that hanging over the league still? Before last weekend, that there's some disrespect going on nationally?
You know, I've commented on that some before. I think at times with a couple of the major networks and people out there have been that, and just you know, anointing other leagues. And I don't feel it as much now, though. I mean, I think the Big 12's had a lot of great wins in the last several years, and you know, even a lot of teams that, you know, maybe had been at the bottom of our conference for a while, you know, have made some major moves. I mean, look, I've used Iowa State as a great example, I think, for a while. The job those guys have done up there. Obviously, Kansas went and had a huge win on the road against BC. I mean, you know, we got a lot of good teams, got a lot of good players, a lot of good coaches in this league. So that's, and again, just having been through it and had the chance to win it, you know, a couple of times, I know how hard it's been, and so it's just as hard to win this league as there is any of them out there.
We got a wrap. Last question.
Kerry Cook's coming back next weekend. Is there a concern with the defensive guy being on the staff over there at Texas Tech? And two, what do you remember most about him?
You know, we deal with that from week to week, whether it's a person that's been on our staff or you've known or worked with this guy in the past. I mean, there's so much crossover now that I mean, it's kind of normal, honestly. Kerry did a great job here. I mean, he was an active recruiter, was a very, very just positive person in our room. Kids really respected the way that he went about his business. And so, yeah, a fun guy to be around, great family. You know, certainly happy he landed at a great spot like Tech, and certainly will always be a great friend.
All right, that's it for Lincoln Riley. Deuces.